Help me, God, please help me. Emma's screams echoed off the cliff walls. Her fingers gripped a single root. 60 feet below, rocks waited like teeth. Above her, Tyler Harrington laughed. Your daddy's last word was your name, cripple. Now you can tell him yourself. His boots stomped on her fingers. One hand slipped. Blood dripped into the void. 8 months they tortured her, called her worthless, told her to kill herself. Tonight they decided to do it themselves. Then 2 engines shattered the silence. Headlights cut through the darkness. 2 Hell's Angels who weren't supposed to be there. 2 witnesses to attempted murder. 2 warriors about to expose a conspiracy 3 years in the making. Subscribe now. Watch until the very end. Comment your city and let me see how far Emma's courage travels. The cafeteria tray hit Emma Carter square in the face. Milk exploded across her brown hair. Gravy dripped down her cheeks. Something gray and cold slid into her lap, soaking through her jeans. Oops! Tyler Harrington held the empty tray like a trophy. My hand slipped. Laughter erupted behind him. Derek Collins doubled over. Brittany Wells covered her mouth, cheerleader uniform spotless, while Emma sat drenched in garbage. Emma didn't move, didn't flinch. Reactions made it worse. She learned that lesson months ago. What's the matter, cripple? Tyler crouched down, his breath hot against her ear. Cat got your tongue, or did your dead daddy take that with him too? Her hands trembled beneath the table. She bit her cheek until she tasted blood. Don't react. Don't give him what he wants. Tyler. Derek nodded toward the cafeteria monitor. Henderson's looking. Tyler straightened up, smoothing his varsity jacket. Clean yourself up, Emma. You're disgusting. He walked away laughing. His friends followed like loyal dogs. The cafeteria returned to normal. Conversations resumed. Forks scraped plates. 300 students pretended they saw nothing. Emma sat alone in her puddle of humiliation. Milk dripped from her chin under the wheelchair her father bought her 3 years ago. The last gift he ever gave her. Miss Carter. Mr. Henderson stood 3 feet away, arms crossed. You're making a mess. Clean it up. I didn't. Now Miss Carter. She looked up at him, searching for something human. Nothing. Yes, sir. What would you do? 300 people watched a disabled girl get attacked. Not one person helped. Not one teacher intervened. Remember this feeling, because what happens next will test everything you believe about justice. The bathroom was empty. Emma locked herself in the handicapped stall and let the tears fall. 3 years since the accident that killed her father and took her legs. 8 months at this school. Every single day worse than the one before. Her phone buzzed. Mom, working double shift tonight. Leftover lasagna in fridge. Love you, baby. Stay strong. Emma typed back, I'm fine. Love you too. Another lie, she'd lost count. She scrubbed gravy from her hair with paper towels. The stain on her jeans wouldn't come out. She'd wear it all day. 20 minutes later, she pushed open the bathroom door. Tyler was waiting. There she is. He leaned against the lockers with Derek and 2 other boys. The amazing disappearing cripple. Emma's stomach dropped. She spun her wheelchair around. Hey! Tyler's footsteps echoed behind her. I'm talking to you. She pushed harder, arms burning. The elevator was 50 feet away. A hand grabbed her wheelchair and yanked it backward. Rude. Tyler spun her around. Didn't your daddy teach you manners before he wrapped his car around that tree? Let go of me. Or what? He crouched to her eye level. You gonna run away? He laughed. Oh, wait, you can't. Derek and the others formed a circle. No witnesses, no escape. I heard something interesting today. Tyler's voice dropped to a whisper. Heard you've been asking questions about your daddy's accident, talking to people at the quarry, sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Emma's blood ran cold. How did he know? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. His grip tightened. My father runs this town. You think anything happens here without him knowing? I wasn't. Shut up. He stood looming over her. Here's how this works. Stop asking questions. Keep your mouth shut. And remember that accidents happen in Granite Falls. He leaned close. Especially to people who can't run away. The bell rang. Tyler smiled like they'd been discussing homework. See you around, Emma. They walked away. Emma sat frozen, heart pounding. Mind racing. He knew. Tyler knew she'd been investigating, which meant his father knew too. The accessible bus dropped Emma at Maple Street at 3:47. Marcus, the driver, caught her eye in the rearview mirror. "You okay today, Emma?" "I'm fine, Marcus." He didn't believe her. She could tell, but he didn't push. "You know," he said, "my daughter got bullied too, back when she was your age." Emma looked up. He'd never mentioned a daughter. "What happened?" "She made it through, got out of this town, works in Denver now, social worker, helps kids who went through what she did." "That's good." "Point is, Emma, it gets better. I know it doesn't feel like it. Every day feels like drowning. But you're stronger than you think." He paused. "Someday you're going to look back and realize this made you into someone worth being." Emma's eyes stung. "Thank you, Marcus." "Any time, kid." She wheeled up the ramp her father built. The wood was warped now, railing loose on one side. Inside, silence. "Hey, Dad?" The photograph on the mantel didn't answer. James Carter smiled from behind the glass arm wrapped around a younger Emma, a standing Emma, a girl who didn't know her world was about to shatter. Pay attention now. What Emma finds next changes everything. Her father left her a message from beyond the grave, and the people who killed him will do anything to keep it buried. Emma pulled the box from under her bed. Nothing special, old shoebox covered in dust. But inside was everything she had left of him. His watch, stopped at 11:47, time of the accident. His wallet, still holding her sixth-grade picture. His wedding ring, too big for her fingers. And his journal. She'd found it 6 months ago, hidden in the garage behind Christmas decorations. Her mother didn't know it existed. Nobody did. She opened it to the page she'd read 100 times. March 15th, meeting with state investigator, scheduled for Friday. Finally have enough evidence to prove what Harringtons have been doing to the water supply. Kids are getting sick. Families are dying. Nobody wants to listen because the quarry owns this town. But I have names now, dates, lab results. They can't ignore this anymore. March 15th, her father died March 17th, 2 days before his meeting. The official report said drunk driving. James Carter at a bar until midnight, then wrapped his car around a tree on Route 7. Case closed. Tragic accident. But Emma knew her father. James Carter hadn't touched alcohol in 15 years. AA meetings every Tuesday, 10-year sobriety chip in his wallet. She flipped to the last entry, March 16th. Someone's been following me. Black SUV, no plates. Saw it outside the house this morning, again at the quarry. Harrington knows I'm talking. His people asking questions about me, about my family. I'm scared. Not for me, for Rachel and Emma. If anything happens, they need the truth. Evidence is in the safe deposit box at First National. Key taped inside Emma's favorite book. Charlotte's Web. She'll know, she'll understand. I love you both more than words can say. Emma pressed the journal to her chest. She'd found the key 3 months ago, retrieved the safe deposit box. Lab results, toxic chemicals in Granite Falls water, internal memos, cover-up discussions, a list of families who filed complaints, all mysteriously dropped, photographs of illegal dumping, enough to destroy the Harrington empire, send Richard Harrington to prison, enough to prove her father was murdered. But she was 16, disabled, alone. Who would believe her? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Hello? Is this Emma Carter woman's voice unfamiliar? Who's asking? My name is Patricia Holloway. I was a friend of your father's. We need to talk. How'd you get this number? James gave it to me before he died. Said if anything happened to him, I should wait. Let things cool down, then reach out to you. Emma gripped the phone tighter. Why should I believe you? Pause. Because I know about the journal, the safe deposit box, and I know who killed your father. Emma stopped breathing. Meet me tomorrow. Old diner on Route 12, 3 o'clock. Come alone. Patricia's voice dropped. And Emma, be careful. They're watching you. The line went dead. Trap or truth, Emma has no way of knowing. But her father's killers are still out there, and she's running out of time. Would you take the risk, good son? Emma didn't sleep that night. Every creak made her jump. Every shadow looked like someone watching. At 2 a.m., she wheeled to the window and looked out at Maple Street. Empty. No. Wait. A car sat at the corner, headlights off, engine running. She could see the exhaust in the cold air. Black SUV. Emma's heart slammed against her ribs. She backed away from the window, hands shaking. They were watching her house. Right now, just like they watched her father. She grabbed her phone and almost called 911, then stopped. Tyler said his father owned this town, police included. Who could she trust? Nobody. She sat in darkness until dawn, journal clutched to her chest, father's photograph watching from the dresser. What do I do, Dad? I'm scared. No answer, just silence in the weight of a dead man's secrets. Tito. Morning came gray and cold. Emma dressed mechanically. Same routine she'd done 1,000 times. Bed to chair, bathroom, hair, clothes that would hide whatever they threw at her today. Her mother's note sat by the coffee maker. Extra shift again. Sorry, baby, money's tight. I'll make it up to you. Love, Mom. Rachel Carter worked 70 hours a week, came home exhausted, left before dawn. She didn't know about the bullying, didn't know about the journal, didn't know her daughter was in danger. Emma wanted to tell her, wanted to show her everything, but Rachel had enough weight on her shoulders. The medical bills, the mortgage, the grief she hid behind double shifts and forced smiles. Emma couldn't add more. She ate cereal alone, stared at her father's empty chair, then headed for the bus. School was a blur. Tyler tripped her wheelchair in first period. Books scattered. Mrs. Patterson looked away. Derek stuck gum in her hair at lunch. She cut it out in the bathroom. Uneven patch near her left ear. Brittany posted a video of Emma struggling up a ramp. Caption, fastest turtle in Colorado. 400 likes by sixth period. Emma kept her head down. 3 o'clock. That's all that mattered. The diner, Patricia, answers. Wahamo. The Route 12 bus dropped her at 2:52. The diner sat alone on the empty highway. Chrome and glass, 1950s relic that somehow survived. One car in the lot. Blue sedan, out-of-state plates. Emma's heart pounded as she pushed through the door. Bell chimed overhead, empty except for a woman in the corner booth. Late 40s, gray-streaked hair, eyes that had seen too much. She looked up, recognition, relief, fear. Emma, the woman stood. Thank God, I wasn't sure you'd come. Patricia. Yes, she gestured to the booth. Sit, we don't have much time. Emma wheeled to the table. How'd you know my father? We worked together at the quarry. I was his assistant in safety. Patricia's voice dropped. I helped him gather the evidence. I was supposed to testify with him. What happened? Tears filled Patricia's eyes. Richard Harrington found out, called James into his office the day before. I don't know what was said, but James came out white as a sheet, told me to go home, take my family, leave town. She looked at Emma. He said they threatened his daughter. They threatened you. Emma's blood turned to ice. They killed him because he wouldn't stop. They killed him because he was going to destroy them. The contamination is worse than anyone knows. Cancer rates here are triple the national average. Children born with defects. People dying. Harrington spent millions covering it up. I have the evidence, Emma said. Everything he collected, hidden somewhere safe. Patricia grabbed her hand. You need to be careful. Harrington has people everywhere. Police, politicians, teachers. He owns this town. His son already threatened me. Patricia went pale. Tyler knows. He warned me yesterday. Said his father knows I'm asking questions. Oh God. Patricia stood looking out the window. We need to go now. It's not safe. Wait, Emma grabbed her arm. You said you know who killed my father. Was it Harrington? Not directly, he hired someone. Vincent Cross, former military. Does Harrington's dirty work. She turned back. Cross is still in town. If Harrington knows you have that evidence, Cross will come for you. The bell above the door chimed. Patricia froze. Emma turned. A man stood in the doorway. Tall, muscular, eyes dead and cold. Mrs. Holloway. Flat voice, no emotion. You shouldn't have come back. Dishba. This is the man who killed Emma's father. He's standing 10 feet away, and Emma can't run. Patricia stepped in front of Emma. Get out. Can't do that. Cross walked forward slowly. You know too much, both of you. There are witnesses. People will. What people? Cross smiled. Waitress left an hour ago. Cook's in the back with headphones on. It's just us. Emma's hands found her wheels. Back exit, 20 feet behind her. You don't have to do this, Patricia said. Just let the girl go. She's 16. She doesn't know anything. She knows enough. Cross reached into his jacket. Harrington's orders. Clean sweep. Patricia screamed and threw herself at him. Emma didn't think. She just moved. Wheels spinning, arms burning, 20 feet, 15, 10. Behind her a crash, a scream cut short. Something heavy hitting the floor. She didn't look back. The back door flew open. Alley, broken pavement. Her chair bounced, nearly tipping. Engine roared behind her. Black SUV, same one from last night, screeching around the corner. Emma pushed harder, lungs screaming. Arms on fire. The road sloped downhill. She picked up speed. SUV followed, getting closer every second. Bridge ahead, Miller's Creek. No railing on one side. 40-foot drop to rocks below, no choice. She turned hard, hit the bridge. SUV right behind her. Halfway across, she stopped. Nowhere else to go. SUV skidded to a halt. Door opened. Vincent Cross stepped out. End of the line, little girl. Emma's hands shook, heart pounded, but she didn't look away. I'm not scared of you. You should be. He walked toward her slowly. Your father wasn't scared either. Look where that got at him. You killed him. I did what I was paid to do. He reached for her, just like I'm doing now. The sound of engines split the air like thunder. Cross froze. Two motorcycles roared onto the bridge from the opposite direction. Big machines, loud pipes, riders in black leather. They stopped between Emma and Cross. First rider removed his helmet. Older guy, maybe 50. Gray beard, hard eyes. Patch on his jacket. Hell's Angels above a winged skull. Something wrong here. Voice calm, edge sharp enough to cut steel. Cross step by. This doesn't concern you. Little girl in a wheelchair. Second rider took off her helmet. Woman late 40s, short red hair, char across her left cheek. Being chased by a man twice her size. Seems like it concerns us plenty. Cross's hand moved toward his jacket. I wouldn't. The man stepped off his bike, 6'4" easy, arms like tree trunks. Lot of witnesses now. Sheriff's station half a mile away. Be a shame if someone called. Cross looked at Emma, then the bikers. Calculating. Whatever he saw, he didn't like. This isn't over. If for today it is. The woman crossed her arms. Get in your car. Drive away. Slowly. Cross held her gaze. Long moment. Then he turned, got in the SUV and drove off. Emma couldn't breathe. Adrenaline crashing, hands shaking so hard she could barely grip her wheels. Hey! The man crouched in front of her. Close up, she could see kindness beneath the hardness. You okay, kid? I don't... It's all right, you're safe now. He glanced at the woman. Roxy, call it in. Roxy pulled out her phone. I'm Frank, the man said. Most people call me Gunner. What's your name? Emma Carter. Something flickered in his eyes, a flash of recognition. Pain. Carter, James Carter's daughter. You knew my father. Frank's jaw tightened. He stood slowly looking down the road where the SUV disappeared. I knew him. Good man, better than most in this town. He was murdered. I know. Emma stared at him. You know. Frank turned back. Met her eyes with a weight that pressed down on her chest. I know who killed him, Emma. I know why. And I know what he was trying to expose. He paused. I've been waiting 3 years for someone brave enough to help me prove it. Why? Why do you care about my father? Frank reached into his jacket, pulled out a photograph, handed it to Emma. A young woman, maybe 22, brown hair, bright smile, standing next to James Carter outside the quarry offices. Who is this, my daughter? Frank's voice cracked. Sarah. She worked at the quarry too, helped your father gather evidence. He took a breath. She died 3 weeks before he did. They called it a car accident. Same road, same curve, same lie. Emma looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. They killed her too. They killed her too. Frank crouched down again, eye level with Emma. I've been tracking Harrington for 3 years, gathering evidence, waiting for the right moment. Then I heard James Carter's daughter was asking questions, that she had her father's files. He put a hand on her shoulder. You're not alone anymore, Emma. And together we're going to destroy the people who took everything from us. Roxy walked over, phone away. Cops aren't coming. Harrington owns them. But I got a friend at the state police. She's interested. Good. Frank stood. We need to get Emma somewhere safe. Cross will be back. And next time he won't be alone. Wait. Emma grabbed Frank's arm. Patricia, the woman at the diner. Cross attacked her. She might be... I'll check. Roxy headed for her bike. Take the girl to the shop. I'll meet you there. Frank looked at Emma. Can you ride? I've never been on a motorcycle. First time for everything. He lifted her from the wheelchair like she weighed nothing. Set her on his bike, strapped her in. What about my chair? Roxy will bring it. He climbed on in front of her. Hold on tight. Don't let go. Emma wrapped her arms around him, felt the engine rumble beneath her. Frank. Yeah. Thank you for saving me. He didn't answer for a moment, just sat there, hands on the handlebars, eyes on the road ahead. Your father saved my daughter's life once. Pulled her out of a flooded excavation pit when everyone else ran. He started the engine. I'm just returning the favor. The motorcycle roared to life, and for the first time in 3 years, Emma Carter felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. But hope is dangerous in Granite Falls, because somewhere across town, Vincent Cross is making a phone call, and the man on the other end doesn't accept failure. Richard Harrington is about to learn that James Carter's daughter is still alive, and he's going to make sure that doesn't last long. The motorcycle shop sat at the edge of town where the street lights stopped and the darkness began. Frank killed the engine and helped Emma off the bike. Her legs dangled uselessly, but she didn't complain. She never complained. Roxy's got your chair, Frank said. She'll be here in 10 minutes. Patricia, we have to go back for her. Roxy's checking. If she's alive, we'll find her. And if she's not... Frank didn't answer. He carried Emma inside and set her on an old couch that smelled like motor oil and cigarettes. The shop was cluttered, engine parts everywhere, tools scattered across workbenches. But Emma noticed something else. Maps on the wall, photographs, newspaper clippings, all about the Harrington family. You've been watching them, she said. 3 years. Frank handed her a bottle of water. Ever since they killed Sarah. Tell me about her. Frank sat down across from her. For a long moment, he just stared at his hands. Sarah was 22, smart, stubborn, wanted to be a journalist. His voice cracked. She got a job at the quarry to pay for college. Data entry, they said. Nothing dangerous. What happened? She found something, same thing your father found. The contamination, the cover-up. She started copying files, taking photographs. He paused. Someone noticed. Cross. Frank spat the name like poison. They ran her off the road on Route 7. Same curve where your father died. Made it look like an accident. Case closed in 48 hours. Emma's hands trembled. That's why you're here. That's why you saved me. I couldn't save my daughter. Frank looked up, eyes red. But I can save you. And I can make sure the people who killed her pay for what they did. The door burst open. Emma flinched. Frank was on his feet in a second hand, reaching for something under the workbench. Roxy walked in, pushing Emma's wheelchair. Easy, Gunner, just me. Frank relaxed. Patricia, Roxy's face told the story before she spoke. Gone. Back door of the diner. Blood trail leading to the parking lot. Looks like Cross took her. Emma's stomach dropped. She's alive. Maybe. Cross doesn't usually leave witnesses. Roxy parked the wheelchair next to Emma. But if Harrington wants to know what she told you, he'll keep her breathing long enough to ask questions. Then we have to find her. We will. Frank grabbed a phone from the workbench. But first, we need to get you somewhere safe. Cross knows your face now. He'll be watching your house, your school, everywhere you go. My mom, she doesn't know. We'll handle it. No, Emma grabbed his arm. You don't understand. She works nights at the hospital. If Cross finds out who she is, he already knows. Roxy pulled up a chair. Harrington knows everything about your family, has for 3 years. He just didn't see you as a threat until now. Emma felt the walls closing in. Her mother, her home, everything she had left. What do I do? Frank knelt in front of her, eye level, the way her father used to when she was scared. You trust us. You let us help. And when the time comes, you do exactly what we say. He squeezed her hand. Can you do that? Emma looked at him. This stranger who'd saved her life. This man who'd lost his daughter the same way she'd lost her father. Yes. Good. He stood. Roxy, call Martinez. Tell her we're moving up the timeline. Already on it. Frank turned back to Emma. There's something you need to see. What Frank shows Emma next will change everything she thinks she knows. About her father, about the Harringtons, and about the night her whole world fell apart. The back room of the shop was different. No clutter, no mess, just clean walls covered with evidence. Photographs, documents, maps with red circles and connecting lines. A timeline stretching back 5 years. Emma's breath caught when she saw her father's face. James Carter smiling in his quarry uniform. Next to him, a young woman with Frank's eyes. Sarah. They worked together for 6 months, Frank said. Your dad taught her everything. How to gather evidence without getting caught. How to protect her sources. How to stay alive. His voice hardened. He was good at it, just not good enough. Emma wheeled closer to the wall. Her eyes scanned the documents, the photographs, the pieces of a puzzle 3 years in the making. How bad is it, the contamination? Worse than you know. Roxy stepped forward, pointing to a map. The quarry's been dumping industrial waste into the groundwater for 15 years. Chromium, lead, benzene, stuff that causes cancer birth defects, neurological damage. Granite Falls has some of the highest cancer rates in the state, Frank added. Harrington's been paying doctors to misdiagnose, paying coroners to falsify death certificates, paying politicians to look the other way. People are dying. People have been dying for years. Frank pulled a photograph from the wall. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, hooked up to machines in a hospital bed. Maria Santos, leukemia, diagnosed at 5, dead at 8. Her house sits 300 feet from the main runoff channel. Emma stared at the photograph, the girl's smile, her pink bow, her eyes full of hope. There are more, Roxy said quietly. Dozens more. Kids mostly. Their bodies can't handle the toxins the way adults can. And nobody knows. People suspect, but Harrington controls the local media, the police, the city council. Anyone who asks questions gets bought off or shut up. Frank's jaw tightened, or killed. Or Emma thought about Tyler, his smug face, his threats in the hallway. He knew. He had to know. Tyler Harrington, she said. Does he know what his father's doing? Tyler's been groomed since birth to take over the family business. He knows everything. Frank turned to face her. That kid's not just a bully, Emma. He's a monster in training. Emma's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out. Unknown number. Don't answer that, Roxy said. Too late. Emma had already hit accept. Hello. Emma, Tyler's voice slithered through the speaker. I heard you had an exciting afternoon. Emma's blood turned to ice. How did you get this number? I get whatever I want. That's how this town works. He laughed. Did you really think 2 bikers could protect you? My father has an army. What do you want? What I have always wanted, for you to disappear. His voice dropped. But now you've made things complicated. Now you've got people asking questions. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to bring me everything your father collected, every document, every photograph, every piece of evidence. And then you're going to forget any of this ever happened. And if I don't, then your mother has an accident on her way home from work tonight. Route 7 can be very dangerous after dark. Emma stopped breathing. You wouldn't. My father killed your dad, Emma. You think I care about your mom? Tyler paused. You have until midnight, the old quarry entrance. Come alone. Bring everything. The line went dead. Emma's hands shook so hard she dropped the phone. What did he say? Frank grabbed her shoulders. Emma, what did he say about my mom? Tears streamed down her face. He's going to kill my mom. Shut up. Midnight. 3 hours away. Emma's mother is in danger, and the only way to save her might be walking into a trap. Roxy was already on the phone. So, Martinez, we need eyes on Rachel Carter, Granite Falls Memorial Hospital. She's a night shift nurse. Someone's made a threat. She paused, listening. I don't care about jurisdiction. Get someone there now. Frank paced the room like a caged animal. It's a trap. Has to be. Tyler wants you alone at the quarry. That's where they'll finish it. I know it's a trap. Emma wiped her eyes. But what choice do I have if I don't go? They'll kill her. If you do go, they'll kill you both. Then come with me. Frank stopped pacing. What? You've been watching them for 3 years. You know that quarry better than anyone. You know how they operate, how they think. Emma looked up at him. Help me set a trap of our own. Roxy lowered the phone. She's got a point, Gunner. We've been waiting for an opening. This might be it. This is suicide. No, Emma's voice steadied. This is the only chance we're going to get. Tyler thinks I'm just a scared girl in a wheelchair. He thinks I'm going to show up alone, hand over the evidence, and beg for mercy. She clenched her fists. He's wrong. Frank studied her for a long moment, the same stubborn fire he'd seen in his daughter's eyes. You really are James Carter's kid. Help me, Frank. Help me end this. He turned to Roxy. Call Big Mike and Chains. Tell them to gear up. How many are we talking? Everyone we've got. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. He looked back at Emma. You understand what happens if this goes wrong. I die, same as my father, same as Sarah. Emma met his gaze without flinching. But at least I'll die fighting. Frank nodded slowly. Then let's make sure you don't die at all. The next 2 hours were chaos. Roxy worked the phones, calling in every favor she had. Frank spread maps across the table, marking entrances and exits, guard positions, and blind spots. Emma sat in the middle of it all, answering questions about what she knew, where the evidence was hidden, what Tyler had said. Every detail mattered. At 10 p.m., the first bikes arrived. Big Mike was exactly what his name suggested. 6'5", 300 pounds with a beard that reached his chest and arms covered in tattoos. He nodded at Emma without speaking, then went straight to Frank. Chains was smaller but meaner. Hard eyes, scarred knuckles. He looked at Emma like he was sizing her up for a fight. This the girl? This is her, Chains grunted. She's got guts. I'll give her that. More bikes came. Demon, Razor, a woman called Snake who had more weapons strapped to her body than Emma had ever seen. By 11 p.m., 8 Hells Angels stood in Frank's shop ready for war. Here's the plan, Frank said, spreading the quarry map on the table. Tyler wants Emma at the old entrance by midnight. He'll have men waiting. Maybe Cross, maybe hired muscle. Either way, they're not expecting us. How do we play it? Big Mike asked. Emma goes in alone, makes contact, keeps Tyler talking as long as possible. Frank pointed to the map. Meanwhile, we come in through the service tunnels, here and here, flank them, cut off their escape. And when the shooting starts, Emma drops. We handle the rest. Chains cracked his knuckles. What about Cross? Cross is mine. Frank's voice left no room for argument. He killed my daughter. He's not walking away from this. Emma raised her hand. What about Patricia? If she's still alive, they might be holding her at the quarry. We'll look, but Emma, you need to understand something. Roxy crouched beside her. Patricia might already be dead. We can't save everyone. We can try. Roxy smiled. The first real smile Emma had seen from her. Yeah, we can try. 11:45 p.m. Emma sat in the back of Frank's truck, her wheelchair folded beside her. The quarry loomed ahead, dark and silent. Her phone buzzed. Mom. Working late again? Everything okay at home? Emma typed back. Everything's fine. Love you. Maybe the last lie she'd ever tell. Frank appeared at the window. You ready? No. Good answer. He opened the door. Being scared means you're paying attention. It's the ones who aren't scared that get killed. He lifted her into her chair and pushed her toward the quarry entrance. The old gate hung open, rust eating through the chains that once held it closed. Beyond, nothing but darkness and the distant hum of machinery that never stopped. Remember the plan, Frank whispered. Keep him talking. Give us time to get in position. When you hear the signal, drop flat and don't move. What's the signal? Frank smiled grimly. You'll know. He disappeared into the shadows. Emma was alone. She pushed herself forward in wheels crunching on gravel. Every sound seemed amplified. Every shadow seemed alive. 50 feet, 100, 200. Stop right there. Tyler stepped out from behind a rusted excavator. He wasn't alone. Two men flanked him, big, armed, professional, but no cross. Emma noticed that immediately. You came. Tyler sounded surprised. I honestly didn't think you had the guts. Where's my mother? Safe for now. He walked close and hands in his pockets like this was a casual conversation. Did you bring what I asked for? Emma reached into her jacket and pulled out a flash drive, the same one she'd prepared hours ago with Frank. Fake files, decoy evidence, enough to look real without giving away anything that mattered. It's all here, everything my father collected. Tyler's eyes lit up with greed. Give it to me. First tell me why. Why what? Why did you kill him? He was just trying to protect people. Tyler laughed. It was an ugly sound. Protect people. Your father was going to destroy this town. The quarry employs half of Granite Falls. Without it, everyone starves. My father was protecting those jobs, protecting those families, by poisoning their children. Tyler's smile faded. Collateral damage. You can't build an empire without breaking a few eggs. Emma felt sick. You're a monster. I'm a businessman, same as my father, same as his father before him. He held out his hand. Now give me the drive. This is the moment everything changes. Emma has a choice. Give up the evidence and hope Tyler keeps his word. Or trust that Frank and the others are in position. What would you do? Emma's fingers tightened on the flash drive. How do I know you'll let us go? Me and my mother. You don't. Tyler shrugged. But you don't have any other options, do you? There's always another option. Not for cripples. He stepped closer. Give me the drive, Emma. Or I call Cross and tell him to pay your mother a visit. Emma's heart pounded. Where was Frank? Where was the signal? She needed more time. I want to know something first. You're not in a position to negotiate. Humor me. She looked him dead in the eyes. The night my father died. Were you there? Tyler's expression flickered, just for a second. What difference does it make? I need to know. He stared at her for a long moment, then smiled. Yeah, I was there, in the car behind Cross when he ran your daddy off the road. His voice dropped to a whisper. You want to know the best part? He saw us coming. He knew what was about to happen. And you know what he did? Emma couldn't speak. He called your name, right before he hit the tree. Tyler leaned in close. Emma, that was the last word he ever said. Something broke inside him. 3 years of grief, 3 years of questions, 3 years of wondering if her father thought of her in his final moments. Now she knew, and now she wanted Tyler Harrington dead. Emma down, Frank's voice cut through the darkness. She threw herself sideways, hitting the ground hard. The flash drive went flying. Gunshots exploded around her. Muzzle flashes lit up the night. Tyler's men scattered, returning fire at targets they couldn't see. Tyler dove for cover behind the excavator. Cross, where are you? More bikes roared into the quarry, headlights blazing, engines screaming. The Hells Angels came from every direction, boxing in Tyler's men. Emma crawled toward a pile of rocks, dragging her useless legs behind her. Bullets whined overhead. Someone screamed. She made it to cover just as a body fell 3 feet away. One of Tyler's men eyes staring at nothing. Emma! Roxy slid in beside her, gun drawn. You okay? I'm fine. Stay down, this isn't over. Roxy popped up, fired twice, and ducked back as bullets sparked off the rocks around them. Where's Tyler? Emma shouted. Frank's got him cornered, but Cross isn't here. What? Cross isn't here. Roxy grabbed her arm. This was a diversion, Emma. They knew we were coming. Emma's blood ran cold. If Cross wasn't here, then where? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. Hello, Emma. Cross's voice, calm, cold. I'm standing outside your mother's hospital. She gets off in 20 minutes. Plenty of time to say goodbye. No. You should have stayed home, little girl. Should have kept your mouth shut. A pause. Tell Frank he loses another one tonight. The line went dead. Emma screamed. Sawyer, Cross is at the hospital. Rachel Carter has 20 minutes to live, and Emma is trapped in a quarry 3 miles away. Frank, Emma's voice tore through the chaos. Something in it made everyone stop. Frank ran to her, blood on his face from a cut above his eye. What happened? Cross, he's at the hospital. He's going to kill my mom. Frank's expression shifted from warrior to something else, something desperate. Roxy, bike, now. Frank, you can't, now. Roxy didn't argue. She sprinted toward her motorcycle. Take Emma to the hospital, Frank ordered. Don't stop for anything. What about you? Frank looked back at the quarry where Big Mike and Chains had Tyler's remaining men pinned down, then at the excavator where Tyler was hiding. I'll finish this, then I'll catch up. Frank, go. Roxy lifted Emma onto the back of her bike. No wheelchair. No time. Hold on tight. The engine roared to life. They shot out of the quarry like a bullet, leaving the gunfire behind. Emma wrapped her arms around Roxy and prayed, please, please, let us be in time. The hospital was 12 minutes away. Roxy made it in 8. They skidded into the parking lot, nearly laying the bike down on the wet asphalt. Roxy jumped off and pulled Emma into her arms. Where's the ER entrance? Around the back. She works in the West Wing. They ran, Roxy carrying Emma like she weighed nothing, past the ambulances, past the security guard who shouted after them, Mom! Emma screamed as they burst through the doors. Mom! Nurses scattered. A doctor dropped his clipboard. Someone yelled to call security. Rachel Carter, where is she? A woman in scrubs stepped forward. She left 5 minutes ago, end of her shift. Emma's heart stopped. Which exit? Employee parking. Around. I know where it is. Roxy was already moving. Hold on. They crashed through a side door and into the night. The employee lot was small, 30 cars maybe. Most of the spaces were empty this late. Emma saw her mother's Camry in the back row, and a black SUV parked right beside it. Mom! Rachel Carter stood between the two vehicles, keys in hand. Cross faced her with a gun pointed at her chest. Cross, ut! He turned at Emma's voice. Rachel's eyes went wide. Emma. Let her go. Cross smiled, that cold, dead smile Emma had seen at the diner. Right on time, I was hoping you'd make it. He pressed the gun harder against Rachel's temple. Drop the girl. Both of you on your knees. Roxy lowered Emma to the ground. They both knelt on the cold asphalt. Good. Now here's how this ends. Cross pulled Rachel closer. I take her with me. Insurance in case Frank gets any ideas. You two wait here. Count to 100. Then go home and forget any of this ever happened. You'll kill her anyway. Probably. He shrugged. But this way you get to hope. Hope is such a useful thing. Rachel was crying. Emma, baby, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. It's not your fault, Mom. How touching. Cross started backing toward the SUV, dragging Rachel with him. Say goodbye. Emma's mind raced. No weapon, no way to stand, no way to fight. But she had something else. Cross, wait, he paused. I know about Sarah, Frank's daughter. I know you killed her. His expression didn't change. So I know something you don't. Emma reached into her jacket, slowly. She didn't die right away. She made it to the hospital. She talked to someone before she died. Cross's eyes narrowed. You're lying. Am I? Emma pulled out a folded piece of paper. This is her statement, witnessed and notarized. She named you Cross. She named everyone. That's impossible. I watched her die. You watched her crash, but she lived for 6 more hours. Emma held up the paper. Everything she knew is right here. Names, dates, bank accounts, everything the FBI needs to bring down the whole operation. It was a bluff. The paper was blank, but Cross didn't know that. Give it to me. Let my mother go first. Give it to me. Let her go. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Cross made his decision. He shoved Rachel forward and raised his gun toward Emma. I'll take it off your body. Bang. Cross staggered, looked down at the blood spreading across his chest. Bang, bang. He fell face first onto the asphalt and didn't move. Emma turned. Frank stood 20 feet away, pistol smoking, face carved from stone. "Nobody touches my family," he said quietly. Then his legs buckled and he collapsed beside his motorcycle. Cross is dead, Rachel is safe, but Frank is hurt. And somewhere in the darkness, Tyler Harrington is still out there. "Frank!" Emma crawled toward him, dragging herself across the parking lot. Rachel ran past her to check Cross's body. Roxy was already on the phone shouting for an ambulance. "Frank! Frank! Can you hear me?" he groaned, his hand pressed against his side, blood seeping between his fingers. "Got careless," he muttered. "One of Tyler's guys got a shot off before Mike took him down. You're going to be okay." "Course I am." He tried to smile. "Takes more than one bullet to stop me." Rachel knelt beside them, nurse instincts kicking in. "Let me see." Frank moved his hand. Rachel examined the wound. Through and through, missed the major organs. "He'll live." She looked at Emma with tears in her eyes. "Baby, what's happening? Who are these people? Who was that man?" Emma took her mother's hand. "I'll explain everything, but first..." She looked at Frank. "Where's Tyler?" "Got away in the chaos." Frank coughed. "Big Mike's tracking him, won't get far." Sirens wailed in the distance. "We need to go," Roxy said. "Cops will be here in 2 minutes. Too many questions we can't answer yet." "I'm not leaving, Frank. I'll be fine." Frank pushed himself up, wincing. "Roxy will get me patched up. We've got a guy. A guy. Underground doc. Doesn't ask questions." He gripped Emma's shoulder. "You did good tonight, kid. Real good." "Cross is dead." "Yeah. Does that mean it's over?" Frank's expression darkened. "Cross was a weapon. Tyler and his father are the ones holding the trigger. Until they're stopped, it's not over." He struggled to his feet with Roxy's help. "Get your mom somewhere safe. I'll contact you when we've found Tyler. And then we finish what your father started." He limped toward his motorcycle. Roxy helped him on, then climbed on behind him. "Emma," he looked back one last time. "Your dad would be proud of you. I want you to know that." The bikes roared to life and disappeared into the night. Emma sat on the cold asphalt, her mother's arms wrapped around her. For the first time in 3 years, she let herself cry. Really cry, all the fear and grief and rage pouring out until there was nothing left. Rachel held her tight. "I've got you, baby. I've got you. They killed Dad. I know now." Rachel's voice broke. "I should have believed you. Should have listened. You didn't know. I should have known." She pulled back, cupping Emma's face. "But I know now, and I swear to you, Emma, we're going to make them pay. Together." Emma looked at her mother, this woman who'd worked herself to exhaustion for 3 years, who'd hidden her grief behind double shifts and forced smiles, who'd been just as lost as Emma, just as broken. "Together," Emma said. Rachel drove them to a motel outside of town. Different name, cash only, no questions asked. Emma lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. Her mother sat by the window watching the parking lot for headlights. "The evidence," Rachel said suddenly. "Your father's evidence? Where is it?" "Hidden. Safe. Can you get it?" "Yes." Rachel turned to face her. "Then we need to contact someone, FBI, state police, someone Harrington doesn't own." "Frank has a contact, Detective Martinez, state police. She's been investigating the quarry for years." "Can we trust her?" "Frank trusts her." Rachel nodded slowly. "And then we call about her, first thing in the morning." She crossed to the bed and sat beside Emma. "Try to sleep, baby. Tomorrow's going to be a long day." "Mom?" "Yes, I'm sorry for dragging you into this." Rachel stroked her hair. "You didn't drag me into anything. This was your father's fight. Now it's ours." She leaned down and kissed Emma's forehead. "Sleep. I'll keep watch." Emma closed her eyes. For the first time in 3 years, she didn't dream about the accident. She dreamed about justice. But across town, in a mansion on the hill, Richard Harrington is getting a phone call. His son is missing, his enforcer is dead, and a 16-year-old girl in a wheelchair just destroyed everything he spent 20 years building. The most powerful man in Granite Falls is about to make the biggest mistake of his life. Emma woke to the sound of her mother screaming. She jerked upright, heart slamming against her ribs. The motel room was still dark. 4 a.m. on the clock. Rachel stood at the window phone pressed to her ear, face white as ash. What? When? Oh my God, oh my God. Mom, what's happening? Rachel didn't answer. Her hand shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. We'll be there. Don't let anyone touch anything. She hung up, stood frozen. Mom? Rachel turned, tears streaming down her face. Our house. They burned our house down. Emma couldn't process the words. What? The fire department just called. Someone set it on fire 2 hours ago. There's nothing left. Rachel's voice cracked. Everything. All of Dad's things. All the photographs. Everything is gone. Emma felt the ground tilt beneath her. The photographs, her father's smile, his voice on the old answering machine she'd never erased. The blanket he used to wrap around her when she had nightmares. Gone. All of it gone. The evidence, Emma whispered. The safe deposit box key. I hid a backup copy in my closet. Gone, baby. It's all gone. Emma's chest tightened. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. They burned her house. They burned her father's memory to ashes. And they weren't done. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She knew who it was before she answered. Good morning, Emma. Tyler's voice, smug, satisfied. I hope you're not too attached to material possessions. You burned my house. I burned your hope. Big difference. He laughed. You think you won last night? You killed a mercenary. Congratulations. My father has 100 more where Cross came from. The police work for us. The fire marshal works for us. By noon, that fire will be ruled an electrical accident. Faulty wiring, old house. Tragic, really. Emma gripped the phone so hard her knuckles went white. Why are you doing this? We had nothing. We were no threat to you. Your father made him see threat. Now you've done the same. Tyler's voice hardened. Here's what happens next. You're going to call your biker friends and tell them to stand down. You're going to destroy whatever evidence you have left. And you're going to disappear. Leave Colorado. Start over somewhere else. Never look back. And if I don't, then I'll burn everything else you love. Your mother's jaw, your friends, anyone who's ever been kind to you. Pause. I'll make you watch while I destroy every single person in your life. And when there's no one left, I'll come for you. Emma closed her eyes. 3 years ago, she'd been a normal girl. Happy, healthy, walking. Now she had nothing. No home, no safety, no way out. Except one. Tyler. What? You forgot something. What's that? The original evidence isn't in my house. It never was. Emma opened her eyes. It's in a safe deposit box at First National Bank, and I'm the only one with the key. Silence on the line. You're bluffing. Am I? Your fathers have been looking for those files for 3 years. Why do you think he never found them? More silence, longer this time. Where's the key? Somewhere you'll never find it. Tell me or what? You'll burn another house, kill more people. Emma's voice steadied. You've already taken everything from me, Tyler. I've got nothing left to lose. But you do. You've got your father's empire, your family's reputation, your future. She paused. One phone call to the FBI and all of that disappears. You wouldn't. Try me. The line went dead. Rachel stared at her daughter. Emma, what did you just do? I bought us time. Emma grabbed her wheelchair. Help me up. We need to move. Sure. Emma just made herself the most valuable target in Granite Falls. Tyler needs that key. His father needs those files. And they'll tear apart the whole town to find them. But Emma has a plan, and it starts with a dead woman's secret. Teo. They drove to Frank's shop as the sun came up. The place was empty. No bikes, no lights, just a note taped to the door. Move to secondary location. Text when you arrive. Stay off main roads. Emma texted the number. Response came in 30 seconds. Warehouse on Miller Street. Back entrance. Come alone or with Rachel. Nobody else. Rachel hesitated. How do we know this isn't a trap? We don't. Emma folded the note. But Frank saved my life twice. That's more than anyone else in this town has done. They found the warehouse 15 minutes later. old building, abandoned, the kind of place nobody looked twice at. Roxy met them at the back door. "You look like hell." "They burned our house," Imwa said. Roxy's expression hardened. "I heard. News travels fast around here." She pushed the door open. "Frank's inside. He's been making calls all night." The warehouse interior was chaos. Bikes, weapons, maps spread across makeshift tables. The entire Hells Angels chapter was there, 20 riders at least, all armed and ready. Frank sat in the center, phone pressed to his ear and bandage wrapped around his torso. "Yeah, full federal investigation. Environmental crimes, murder, conspiracy. The whole thing." He looked up as Emma entered. "She just walked in. I'll call you back." He hung up and crossed to her. "Tyler called you." "How did you know?" "Because he called me too." Frank's jaw tightened. "Made threats. Tried to negotiate. When that didn't work, he burned your house." "What did you tell him?" "Same thing you did, I'm guessing. That we've got evidence he can't destroy. That his father's empire is about to come crashing down." Frank smiled grimly. He didn't take it well. Rachel stepped forward. "What happens now?" "We can't hide forever. We have jobs. Emma has school. We need our lives back." "You'll get them back. But first we need to end this." Frank gestured to the maps on the table. "Martinez called in the cavalry. FBI sending a team. State police are coordinating. By tomorrow morning, they'll have warrants for Richard Harrington Tyler and half the quarry's senior management." "Tomorrow morning," Emma shook her head. "That's too long. Tyler's not going to wait. He'll run, or he'll do something desperate." "He already has." Roxy pulled up a news feed on her phone. "Check this out." A local news broadcast. Reporter standing outside the quarry gates. "Breaking news this morning as Harrington Industries announces an emergency shutdown of all operations. Company spokesperson cited safety concerns following an anonymous tip about potential environmental violations. CEO Richard Harrington could not be reached for a comment." Emma stared at the screen. "He's destroying evidence." "That's exactly what he's doing." Frank grabbed his jacket. "Martinez's team isn't supposed to move until tomorrow. But if Harrington cleans out those files before they get there, then he walks free." Emma looked up at him. "We have to stop him." "How? We can't exactly storm the quarry." "We don't have to." Emma pulled out the folded paper from her jacket, the one she'd bluffed cross with. "Tyler thinks I have the key to everything. He thinks I'm the only one who knows where the evidence is hidden. And I've been thinking about Patricia, the woman from the diner. Cross took her, but he never killed her." "Why?" Frank's eyes narrowed. "Because Harrington wanted to know what she knew." "Exactly. She worked with my father for months. She helped him gather evidence. She might know things even I don't." Emma's voice quickened. "If she's still alive, she's the key to everything. Not me." "You think Harrington's holding her somewhere?" "I think if we find Patricia, we find everything we need to bury him forever." Patricia Holloway. Missing for 24 hours. Presumed dead, but what if she's not? What if she's been waiting for someone brave enough to find her? Big Mike spread a map of Granite Falls across the table. "Harrington owns property all over the county. 3 houses, 2 warehouses. The quarry itself." He pointed to each location. "If he's holding someone, it's probably one of these." "The houses are too public," Roxy said. "Someone would notice." "The quarry's in lockdown," Frank added. "Too many workers around even with the shutdown." Emma studied the map. Something nagged at her, something she'd read in her father's journal. "Wait." She pulled out the worn notebook, flipped through the pages. "My dad mentioned a place, called it The Hole. He said Harrington used it for... Here it is." She read aloud. "Harrington's got a place off the books, old mining shaft east of the quarry. He calls it The Hole. Uses it for meetings he doesn't want anyone to know about. I've never been inside, but Sarah said it goes deep." Frank went still. "Sarah mentioned that to me once. Said she was trying to get evidence from there the night she died. Can you find it?" "I can try." He grabbed the map. "East of the quarry, old mining shaft." His finger traced the terrain. "Here. Has to be. Only place that matches." "How far?" 20 minutes. "But if Harrington's got people there, then we go in smart." Emma looked around at the assembled bikers. "How many can you spare?" "For this," Frank smiled. All of them. The convoy left at noon, 20 bikes plus Frank's truck. Emma rode with Roxy, arms wrapped tight around her waist as they tore through the back roads. Rachel stayed behind. Emma had insisted. If this goes wrong, someone needs to get that evidence to the FBI, she'd said. You're the only one I trust. Rachel had argued, cried, begged Emma to stay, but in the end she'd understood. Some fights couldn't be avoided. Some debts had to be paid in person. The mining shaft entrance was hidden behind a wall of overgrown brush. If you didn't know it was there, you'd drive right past. Frank held up a fist. Everyone stopped. Chains Demon, take the perimeter. Anyone tries to run, you stop them. He turned to Big Mike. You're with me and Emma. Roxy, cover our backs. What about me? Emma asked. You stay in the truck until we clear the entrance. Then I'll come get you. No, Frank's eyebrows rose. Excuse me. Patricia knows me. She knows my father. If she's in there scared and hurt, she's not going to trust a bunch of bikers in leather. Emma set her jaw. I'm going in with you. Emma, my father died for this. Sarah died for this. I'm not hiding in a truck while other people fight my battles. Frank stared at her for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression. Respect maybe, or recognition. James would kill me for this. James would understand. Frank sighed. Roxy, get her chair. The entrance to the mining shaft was sealed with a rusted metal door. Big Mike stepped forward, examined the lock, then pulled out a set of bolt cutters. Stand back. Snap. The chain fell. The door groaned open. Darkness beyond. The smell of earth and stale air. Flashlights, Frank ordered. Stay close. Watch your step. They moved into the tunnel. Emma's wheelchair barely fit. The ground was uneven, and twice she nearly tipped over. But she kept going. Down, deeper. The air grew colder. Then voices. Emma held up her hand. Everyone stopped. Told you everything I know. A woman's voice. Weak. Hoarse. Please, just let me go. You'll go when Mr. Harrington says you can go. A man's voice, unfamiliar. Now tell me again about the files. Where did Carter hide the originals? I don't know. I swear I don't know. Smack. A cry of pain. Emma's blood boiled. That's Patricia, she whispered. Frank nodded. Sounds like one guard, maybe two. He turned to Big Mike. On my signal. They crept forward. The tunnel opened into a small chamber. A single bulb hung from the ceiling. Patricia sat in a metal chair, hands bound behind her back. Her face was bruised, lips split, one eye swollen shut. One man stood in front of her, large, armed, brass knuckles on his right hand. I'm going to ask one more time. He raised his fist. Where are the files? Hey, the guard spun. Frank's fist connected with his jaw before he could react. The man went down hard. Big Mike was on him in a second, zip tying his hands behind his back. Emma wheeled forward. Patricia, can you hear me? Patricia's good eye focused, confusion, then recognition. Emma, her voice cracked. Emma Carter, I'm here. We're going to get you out. Tears spilled down Patricia's battered face. I thought they were going to kill me. Not today. Emma gripped her hand. Not ever again. Patricia is alive, but she's not the only secret hiding in this tunnel. What Emma finds next will change everything she thinks she knows about her father's death. Roxy cut Patricia's bonds while Frank searched the guard's pockets. Keys, phone, and he pulled out a folded paper. Read it. His expression darkened. Emma, you need to see this. What is it? He handed her the paper, a photograph, her father, standing outside the quarry office with Richard Harrington. They were shaking hands, smiling. The date stamp read 3 days before her father's death. Emma's world tilted. This doesn't make sense. Turn it over. She did, handwriting on the back, her father's handwriting. If you're reading this, I'm already dead. Don't trust what they tell you about that night. I wasn't investigating Harrington. I was working with him. He promised to clean up the contamination, promised to make things right. I believed him. That was my mistake. By the time I realized he was using me to identify whistleblowers, it was too late. Sarah was dead, and I knew I was next. Everything I've gathered, the real evidence is hidden where only Emma can find it. Charlotte's Web. She'll understand. I love you both. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. Dad. The paper trembled in Emma's hands. Her father hadn't been a hero. He'd been a pawn. Emma, Frank's voice seemed far away. Emma talked to me. He worked with them. Her voice broke. He trusted them. And they used him. They used everyone. Frank crouched beside her. But he figured it out. In the end, he tried to make it right. That's what matters. He got Sarah killed. Frank flinched. Pain flashed across his face. He didn't know. He thought he was doing the right thing. Frank's voice was rough. Your father wasn't a villain, Emma. He was a man who made a mistake, a terrible mistake. But he spent his last days trying to fix it. Emma looked at the photograph again. Her father's smile, so trusting, so naive. He'd believed the devil's promises, and the devil had destroyed him. Charlotte's Web, she whispered. What? My father's note. He said the real evidence is hidden where only I can find it. Charlotte's Web. Emma looked up. It was my favorite book as a kid. He read it to me every night. Where's the book now? It was in my room. Her heart sank. In the house that burned down. Then it's gone. No. Emma's mind raced. Wait, when I was 10, I got scared of the illustrations. The spider. I made Dad hide the book so I wouldn't have to see it. She closed her eyes, trying to remember. He said he put it somewhere special. Somewhere no one would ever find it. Where Emma think. She pressed her hands against her temples. 10 years old, scared of a cartoon spider. Her father laughing, promising to make the scary book disappear forever. The library, she breathed. The public library. He donated it, said it would help other kids learn to read. Her eyes snapped open. But that's not where he really put it. How do you know? Because a week later he took me to the cemetery to visit my grandmother's grave, and he pointed at a storage building in the back and said, Charlotte lives there now, safe and sound. Frank stood. Cemetery storage building. You think the evidence is there? I think my father was smarter than anyone gave him credit for. Emma gripped her wheels. We need to get to St. Michael's Cemetery, now. But getting out of the tunnel wasn't going to be as easy as getting in, because Richard Harrington had just arrived. The sound of engines echoed through the shaft, multiple vehicles getting closer. We've got company, Chain's voice crackled through the radio. SUVs, 4 of them, 20 men at least, Harrington's private security. Frank swore. Can you hold them? Not for long. Do what you can. We're coming out. He grabbed Emma's wheelchair. We go fast, no stopping. What about Patricia? I've got her. Big Mike lifted Patricia like she weighed nothing. Let's move. They ran. The tunnel seemed longer going back. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every sound made Emma's heart race. Gunfire erupted outside. Chains, Frank shouted into the radio. Chains report. Static, then taking fire, 2 men down. We can't. The radio cut out. They burst through the entrance into chaos. Bikes scattered across the road. Harrington's security had taken cover behind their SUVs, trading shots with the remaining Hells Angels. And in the center of it all, standing beside a black Mercedes, was Richard Harrington himself. Tall, gray-haired, expensive suit, the kind of man who'd never gotten dirt under his fingernails in his life. He saw Emma and smiled. Miss Carter, we finally meet. Frank stepped in front of her, gun raised. Stay back. Or what? You'll shoot me in front of 30 witnesses. Harrington spread his hands. I'm unarmed. I'm just a businessman having a conversation. You're a murderer. I'm a survivor. There's a difference, Barshimo. His eyes moved to Emma. Your father understood that, for a while at least. Don't talk about my father. Why not? I knew him better than you did. The real him. The man who came to me with his hat in his hand begging for a deal. Harrington's smile widened. He said he'd make all his problems go away if I just helped clean up the water. He gave me names. Sarah Mason, Patricia Holloway, every single person who was causing trouble. He shrugged. I couldn't have asked for a better informant. He didn't know what you were planning. He didn't want to know. That's different. Harrington stepped closer. Your father was weak, Emma. That's why he's dead. But you? His eyes gleamed. You're not weak, are you? You've caused me more trouble in 3 days than he did in 3 years. I'm going to destroy you. No, you're going to give me the key to that safe deposit box, and then you're going to disappear, just like I offered your friend Tyler. Tyler's not my friend. Tyler's irrelevant, a disappointment, frankly. But you, Harrington tilted his head. You've got fire. I respect that. I could use someone like you. Emma stared at him, this monster who'd killed her father, who'd poisoned children, who'd destroyed countless lives. He was offering her a job. Go to hell, Harrington sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. He raised his hand. The gunfire stopped. Harrington's men emerged from behind their vehicles. 10, 15, 20, all armed, all pointing at Emma and the Hells Angels. Here's what happens now, Harrington said. You give me the location of the evidence, all of it, and I let you and your mother leave Granite Falls alive. Or, he gestured at his army, this gets very ugly very fast. Frank's finger tightened on the trigger. Emma grabbed his arm. Don't, Emma. He'll kill everyone. She looked at the outnumbered bikers, at Patricia barely conscious in Big Mike's arms, at Roxy bleeding from a cut on her forehead. They'd come here to save her. They'd risked everything. She couldn't let them die. Okay, she said. Emma, Noah. Okay, oh. She raised her hands. I'll tell you, just let them go first. Harrington smiled. I knew you'd be reasonable. The cemetery, St. Michael's. There's a storage building in the back. My father hid everything there. The cemetery. Harrington's smile faltered. You expect me to believe that? Check if you want. I have no reason to lie. Emma's voice steadied. You've already won. You've taken everything. Just let them go. Harrington studied her for a long moment. I almost believe you. He pulled out his phone. Send a team to St. Michael's Cemetery, storage building in the back. Find whatever's hidden there. He hung up. If you're telling the truth, your friends live. If you're lying, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. 10 minutes passed. 15, 20. Emma sat in her wheelchair, surrounded by guns, praying she was right. Praying her father's riddle meant what she thought it meant. Harrington's phone rang. Yes, he listened. His expression changed. You're certain everything longer pause. Bring it all, every piece. He hung up and turned to Emma. His face was pale. You weren't lying. I told you. Boxes, documents, photographs, video recordings. His voice shook. How did he get all of this? Because you underestimated him. Emma lifted her chin. Just like you underestimated me. Harrington's eyes went cold. It doesn't matter. I have it now, all of it. He smiled. Thank you, Miss Carter. You just made my job much easier. He turned to his men. Kill them all. This is it. The moment everything ends. Unless someone does something impossible. Frank raised his gun. Emma closed her eyes. And then the sky lit up with red and blue. Police cars. Dozens of them, pouring down the road from both directions. Helicopters overhead. Bullhorns demanding everyone drop their weapons. Joshua Richard Harrington, this is the FBI. You are under arrest. Harrington's face went white. This isn't possible. I own the police. You don't own us. A woman stepped out of the lead vehicle. Badge gleaming. Detective Martinez. Richard Harrington, you are under arrest for murder, environmental terrorism, conspiracy, and about 40 other charges I don't have time to list. This is a mistake. Your lawyers are being arrested too. Martinez smiled. Along with your son. We picked him up 20 minutes ago trying to cross the state line. Harrington's security lowered their weapons, one by one. The fight drained out of them as federal agents swarmed the scene. It was over. Emma watched as handcuffs clicked around Richard Harrington's wrists, as he was led to a waiting car, as the empire he'd built on blood and poison crumbled around him. Frank appeared beside her. You knew. I hoped. The evidence at the cemetery. You knew they'd send it to him. I knew Martinez was watching, waiting for him to have it in his hands. Emma looked up at him. The key wasn't the evidence, Frank. The key was making him take it himself. Making him touch it, own it, so he couldn't deny it later. Frank stared at her, then laughed. James Carter's daughter. He shook his head, smarter than all of them combined. Martinez approached. Miss Carter, I need you to come with me. There's going to be a lot of questions. I know. Emma looked at Frank, at Roxy, at the battered, bloodied Hell's Angels who'd risked everything for a girl they barely knew. Thank you. All of you. Don't thank us yet. Roxy squeezed her shoulder. The hard part's just beginning. Emma nodded. The hard part. Testimony, trials, reliving every terrible memory. But for the first time in 3 years, she wasn't afraid, because she wasn't alone anymore. So, Patricia Holloway was rushed to the hospital. She would survive. Broken bones, internal bleeding, 6 weeks of recovery. But she would testify. Tyler Harrington was found hiding in the trunk of a car outside Denver. He didn't resist arrest, he cried. Richard Harrington hired the best lawyers money could buy. It didn't matter. The evidence was overwhelming. Videos of illegal dumping, recordings of cover-up meetings, financial records showing bribes to officials at every level. James Carter had been thorough. Even in death, he'd found a way to finish what he started. 3 days later, Emma stood at her father's grave, not in a wheelchair, not standing on her own, leaning on Frank's arm. One small step at a time. Physical therapy, the doctor said. It might take years, but there was hope. There was always hope. Hey, Dad, she placed a single white rose on the headstone. We did it. Harrington's going to prison. Tyler, too. The quarry's being cleaned up. People are finally getting justice. The wind rustled through the cemetery, almost like a response. I know you made mistakes. I know you trusted the wrong people. Her voice broke. But you tried to make it right. In the end, that's what matters. Frank stood behind her, silent, respectful. I found Charlotte's Web. Emma continued. The book you hid. I read it again last night, the whole thing. She smiled through her tears. You were right. Charlotte was the real hero. Not because she was strong, but because she was willing to sacrifice everything for the people she loved. She touched the cold stone. That was you, Dad. You were my Charlotte. She stood there until the sun began to set. And somewhere, somehow, she knew her father was listening. The courtroom was packed the day Richard Harrington's trial began. Emma sat in the front row, her mother on one side, Frank on the other. Her wheelchair was gone. A pair of crutches leaned against the bench beside her. 3 months of physical therapy. 3 months of learning to stand again. She wasn't walking yet, but she was close. The judge entered. Everyone rose. Emma pulled herself up on her crutches, refusing help from anyone. Be seated. Richard Harrington sat at the defense table in an expensive suit, looking like he was attending a business meeting instead of fighting for his freedom. His lawyers flanked him like bodyguards. His expression was calm, confident, like he still believed he could win. Tyler sat behind his father wearing an orange jumpsuit. No bail for attempted murder. His eyes found Emma across the room. Pure hatred burned in them. She didn't look away. The prosecution may call its first witness. District Attorney Morrison stood. The people called Patricia Holloway. Patricia walked to the stand, slowly, still healing from her injuries. She placed her hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. She sat down. Her eyes met Emma's for just a moment. A small nod. We're in this together. Mrs. Holloway, Morrison began, can you describe your relationship with the defendant? I worked for Harrington Industries for 12 years, the last 3 as assistant to the safety department. Patricia's voice was steady. I helped James Carter document environmental violations at the quarry. What kind of violations? Illegal dumping of industrial waste into the groundwater, falsified safety reports, cover-ups of contamination that caused illness and death in the surrounding community. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. And did Mr. Harrington know about these violations? He ordered them. Patricia looked directly at Richard. I have emails, memos, recordings. Richard Harrington personally authorized the dumping and personally directed the cover-up. Objection! Defense attorney jumped up. This is hearsay. It's documented evidence, Your Honor. We have the originals. Overruled. Continue. Patricia spent the next 2 hours laying out the case. Every document, Every recording, every piece of evidence that James Carter had died collecting. Emma watched Richard Harrington's face, watched the confidence slowly crack, watched him realize finally that his money couldn't save him this time. When Patricia finished, the defense attorney stood for cross-examination. "Mrs. Holloway, isn't it true that you were having an affair with James Carter?" Gasps from the gallery. Emma's hands clenched. "That's irrelevant. It's relevant to your credibility. You're a scorned woman seeking revenge. I'm a mother whose child was born with birth defects because of what that man put in our water." Patricia's voice rose. "My daughter will never walk, never talk, never have a normal life, and you want to talk about affairs?" The defense attorney stepped back. "No further questions." Sometimes the truth hurts everyone, but silence kills more than truth ever could. Patricia's courage opened a door. Now it's Emma's turn to walk through it. Day 3 of the trial. The people call Emma Carter. Emma gripped her crutches and stood. The walk to the witness stand felt like a mile. Every eye in the courtroom followed her. Every step was agony. But she made it. She sat down, faced the courtroom, faced the man who destroyed her family. "Miss Carter," the DA approached gently, "can you tell us about your father, James Carter?" "He was a good man." Emma's voice trembled slightly. "He worked at the quarry for 15 years. He believed in doing the right thing." "And what happened 3 years ago?" "He discovered the contamination. He tried to report it through proper channels. When that didn't work, he started gathering evidence on his own." "Did he tell you about this?" "Not directly. I found his journal after he died." Emma paused. "He was scared, not for himself, for me and my mother. He knew what Harrington was capable of." "What happened on March 17th, 3 years ago?" Emma closed her eyes. The memory was still raw, would always be raw. "My father was murdered. They made it look like a drunk driving accident. But he hadn't touched alcohol in 15 years. She opened her eyes. Richard Harrington ordered his death because he was about to expose the truth. Objection, speculation. "Your Honor, we have documentation proving—" "I'll allow it. Continue." Emma looked at Richard Harrington. He stared back expressionless. "After my father died, I was in an accident. I was paralyzed from the waist down." Her voice hardened. "For 3 years, I believed I was alone, that nobody cared about what happened to my father. Then Tyler Harrington tried to kill me." The courtroom buzzed. "Can you describe what happened?" "He and his friends attacked me at school, threatened me. When I started investigating my father's death, they escalated." Emma gripped the arms of her chair. "Tyler Harrington kicked me off a cliff. He told me to say hi to my dead daddy." Someone in the gallery gasped. "I survived because 2 members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club heard my screams and rescued me. Frank Mason and Roxanne Stone." She nodded toward Frank in the gallery. "They saved my life, and they helped me find the evidence to bring down the people who murdered my father." No further questions. The defense attorney stood slowly. Emma braced herself. "Miss Carter, you claim Tyler Harrington pushed you off a cliff. Do you have any witnesses?" "Besides the men who tried to kill me, no. They scattered when Frank and Roxy showed up." "So it's your word against his?" "My word, plus the medical reports documenting my injuries, plus the threatening messages Tyler sent me, plus the fact that he was arrested trying to flee the state after his father was taken into custody." The lawyer's smile faltered. "You have quite an imagination, Miss Carter. A teenage girl in a wheelchair taking on one of the most powerful families in Colorado. It sounds like a movie. It sounds like the truth." Emma leaned forward. "And the truth is that Richard Harrington poisoned this town for 15 years. The truth is that children got cancer and died. The truth is that anyone who tried to stop him was silenced, permanently." Her voice rose. "My father, Sarah Mason, dozens of others, all dead because one man thought his profits mattered more than human lives." "Miss Carter." "I'm not finished," Emma's voice echoed through the courtroom. "You want to know what sounds like a movie? A 16-year-old girl surviving, being thrown off a cliff, crawling through the mud with broken bones, watching her house burn down with everything she loved inside, and still finding the strength to sit here to us that monster in the eye and then tell the world what he did." She pointed at Richard Harrington. "That's not imagination. That's survival. And I survived because I had help, because good people refused to look away, because my father raised me to fight for what's right, even when it costs everything. Silence. The defense attorney cleared his throat. No further questions. Emma stood on shaking legs. She looked at Richard Harrington one more time. My father's last word was my name. Tyler told me that the night he tried to kill me. He thought it would break me. She smiled. It gave me a reason to live. She walked back to her seat. The gallery erupted in applause. The truth has power, but the Harringtons aren't finished fighting. What happens next will test everything Emma believes about justice. Day 7 of the trial, the defense called its star witness. The defense calls Tyler Harrington. Emma's stomach dropped. She'd known this was coming, had prepared for it. But seeing Tyler walk to the stand in his orange jumpsuit, chains on his wrists, still filled her with cold fury. He was sworn in, sat down. His lawyer approached. Tyler, can you tell the court about your relationship with Emma Carter? Tyler's expression was carefully neutral. Rehearsed. Emma was a classmate. She had some issues, mental health problems. She was obsessed with me. Obsessed. She followed me around school, sent me messages, made up stories about me bullying her. He shook his head sadly. I tried to be nice to her. Everyone knew she'd had a hard time since her father's accident, but she kept pushing. Emma's blood boiled. She gripped her mother's hand. And what about the night she claims you pushed her off a cliff? That never happened. Tyler's voice was earnest, sincere. I wasn't even there. I was at a party with 50 witnesses. Emma had some kind of breakdown and hurt herself. She's been blaming me ever since. Why would she do that? Because she's sick. Because she needs someone to blame for her problems. Tyler looked at the jury. I feel sorry for her, I really do, but I'm not going to let her destroy my life with lies. The DA stood for cross-examination. Mr. Harrington, you claim you were at a party the night Emma was attacked. Can you provide the names of these witnesses? My friends, Derek Collins, Brittany Wells, others. Interesting, because Derek Collins gave a sworn statement placing you at the quarry that night. He described in detail how you and 3 others dragged Emma to the cliff's edge. Tyler's composure cracked. Derek's lying. He's trying to save himself. He's not the only one. The DA pulled out a stack of papers. We have statements from 2 other boys involved. Both corroborate Emma's account. Both describe you as the ringleader. They're all lying. We also have security footage from a gas station 2 miles from the quarry, timestamped 30 minutes before the attack. You're clearly visible buying energy drinks and laughing with your friends. Tyler's face went white. That doesn't prove, and we have your phone records. Text messages to Derek Collins saying, and I quote, "Tonight we shut her up for good. Make it look like an accident." The courtroom exploded. Order! The judge banged his gavel. Order in the court. Tyler gripped the witness stand, his carefully constructed lies crumbling around him. This is a setup. My father's enemies are framing me. Your father's enemies. The DA stepped closer. You mean the families whose children died from cancer, the whistleblowers who were murdered, the entire town that was poisoned for 15 years? I didn't know about any of that. You didn't know that your family's company was killing people. I was a kid. I just did what my father told me. The gallery went silent. Tyler realized what he'd said. His face contorted. I didn't mean. What exactly did your father tell you to do, Tyler? Silence. No further questions. Tyler was led from the stand shaking. Emma watched him go. This boy who had tormented her for months, who had tried to kill her, who had mocked her father's memory with every breath. He was finally broken, but she felt no satisfaction. Only exhaustion, and the knowledge that this wasn't over yet. Lies unravel, truth prevails. But sometimes justice comes with a ball nobody expected. Emma's about to learn that the hardest battles aren't fought in courtrooms. Day 12, closing arguments. The defense attorney made his case, circumstantial evidence, unreliable witnesses, a conspiracy to destroy a respected family. Nobody believed him. The DA's closing was simple. Richard Harrington poisoned a town. He killed anyone who tried to stop him. He destroyed families. He orphaned children. And when a 16-year-old girl in a wheelchair tried to expose the truth, he sent his own son to throw her off a cliff. He looked at the jury. This isn't about money or power or politics. This is about basic human decency, about whether we're willing to hold monsters accountable for their crimes. He sat down. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Emma waited in the hallway with her mother, Frank, and Roxy. Patricia sat nearby, her daughter in a wheelchair beside her. The little girl couldn't understand what was happening, but Patricia held her hand anyway. "Whatever happens," Frank said quietly, "you did good, Emma. Your father would be proud." "It doesn't feel like enough." "Justice never does." Roxy squeezed her shoulder. "But it's better than nothing." The bailiff appeared. "They've reached a verdict." Emma's heart stopped. They filed back into the courtroom. The jury took their seats. Richard Harrington stood as lawyers on either side. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor." "On the charge of murder in the first degree in the death of James Carter, how do you find?" "We find the defendant guilty." Emma's mother sobbed. "On the charge of murder in the first degree in the death of Sarah Mason, guilty." Frank's hand found Emma's, squeezed tight. "On the charges of environmental terrorism, conspiracy to commit murder, and racketeering, guilty on all counts." The courtroom erupted. Richard Harrington stood frozen. For the first time, his mask slipped completely. Rage, disbelief, fear. "This isn't over," he snarled. "I'll appeal. Mr. Imetit. Harrington, you will be remanded to custody pending sentencing." The judge banged his gavel. "This court is adjourned." Guards surrounded him, led him away. He passed Emma on the way out. Their eyes met. "You think you've won?" His voice was low, venomous. "My family has connections you can't imagine. This isn't over, girl. It will never be over." "Yes, it is." Emma stood on her crutches, looked him dead in the eye. "You're going to die in prison, Mr. Harrington, and nobody will remember you except as the monster who poisoned children." His face twisted with hatred. Then he was gone. Emma collapsed back onto the bench, shaking. Her mother wrapped her in a hug. Frank stood guard. Roxy wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "It's done," Rachel whispered. "Baby, it's finally done." "Not yet." Emma looked toward the door where Tyler was being let out. "There's one more thing I need to do." Revenge is empty, but closure is everything. What Emma does next will surprise everyone. The visitation room at the county jail was cold and sterile. Emma sat on one side of the glass. Tyler sat on the other. He looked smaller in his orange jumpsuit, younger. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that almost looked like fear. "Why are you here?" His voice was flat, defeated. "I wanted to see you before the sentencing." "To gloat?" "No." Emma leaned forward. "To understand." Tyler laughed bitterly. "Understand what? I'm a monster. You said so yourself." "I said you were being trained to be a monster. There's a difference, Rebecca." He looked up, confusion in his eyes. "I read your file," Emma continued. "Your mother left when you were 6. Your father raised you to believe that power was everything. That weakness was unforgivable." "But now," she paused, "you never had a chance. Don't pretend to feel sorry for me." "I don't. You tried to kill me. You mocked my father's death. You're going to prison, and you deserve it." Emma's voice hardened. "But I also know that your father created you, shaped you into what you are. And I think somewhere inside you know that what you did was wrong." Tyler stared at her. "Why do you care?" "Because hate is exhausting." Emma sighed. "I've spent 3 years hating the people who killed my father. It nearly destroyed me. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life hating you too." "So what? You forgive me?" "No, I don't think I can ever forgive you." She stood gripping her crutches. "But I'm choosing not to let you take up any more space in my head. You're going to spend the next 20 years in a cell thinking about what you did. That's punishment enough." She turned to go. "Emma," she stopped. "For what it's worth," Tyler's voice cracked, "I'm sorry about your dad, about all of it." Emma looked back at him, this broken boy who had once terrified her. "I believe you," she said quietly. But sorry doesn't bring him back. She walked away and didn't look back. Therapy. 3 weeks later, sentencing day arrived. Richard Harrington, life in prison without parole. Tyler Harrington, 25 years. Derek Collins and the other accomplices, various sentences ranging from 5 to 15 years. The courtroom cleared, the reporters left, the cameras stopped rolling, and Emma finally let herself breathe. Outside the courthouse, a crowd had gathered. Families of victims, community members, people Emma had never met but who knew her story. They applauded as she emerged. An older woman approached, tears streaming down her face. My grandson died from leukemia 5 years ago. We always knew it was the water, but nobody would listen. She grabbed Emma's hand. Thank you. Thank you for fighting when we couldn't. A man in a construction jacket spoke next. I worked at that quarry for 20 years. Always suspected something was wrong. Never had the guts to speak up. He nodded at Emma. You've got more courage than any of us. One by one they came, sharing stories, offering gratitude, treating Emma like a hero. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired, sad, empty, but also for the first time in 3 years free. Frank appeared beside it. Ready to go home. I don't have a home anymore. Yeah, you do. He put a hand on her shoulder. The club took up a collection. Bought a piece of land outside town. We're going to build you and your mom a new place. Fresh start. Emma stared at him. You didn't have to do that. We wanted to. Roxy joined them. You're family now, Emma. Hell's Angels take care of family. Rachel appeared, wiping her eyes. They showed me the plans. It's beautiful, baby. 2 bedrooms, accessible throughout. A garden out back. Emma didn't know what to say. For 3 years, she'd felt completely alone. Abandoned by a world that didn't care. Now she had a mother who loved her. Friends who would die for her. A community that believed in her. Thank you, she whispered. All of you. Frank smiled. Don't thank us yet. You've still got physical therapy tomorrow. And I hear your new therapist is a real hard ass. Who, me? Roxy cracked her knuckles. 6 a.m. Don't be late. Emma laughed, actually laughed. The sound surprised her. I'll be there. They walked away from the courthouse together, toward whatever came next. Behind them, the sun broke through the clouds. But justice has consequences nobody anticipated. Because somewhere in Granite Falls, a woman is watching the news coverage. A woman who left her family 20 years ago. A woman named Victoria Harrington, Tyler's mother, and she's coming home. Victoria Harrington arrived in Granite Falls on a Tuesday morning. Emma heard about it from Frank, who heard it from Chains, who'd spotted the woman at the only luxury hotel in town. She checked in last night, Frank said, sliding a photograph across the table. Victoria Harrington, née Peterson, left Richard 20 years ago when Tyler was 6, took a settlement and disappeared to Europe. Emma studied the photograph. A woman in her late 50s, elegant, cold eyes, something familiar in the shape of her face. Why is she here? That's what I'm trying to find out. Frank leaned back. Could be she wants to see her son before he goes to prison. Could be she's after whatever's left of the family money. Or borrow. Or she's here to cause trouble. He met Emma's eyes. Richard had enemies, but he also had allies. People who benefited from his operation. People who might want revenge. Emma's stomach tightened. You think she's dangerous? I think anyone connected to that family is dangerous until proven otherwise. The door opened. Roxy walked in, her face grim. We've got a problem. What kind of problem? Victoria Harrington just requested a meeting with the district attorney. She claims she has evidence that could overturn her ex-husband's conviction. Emma's blood ran cold. That's impossible. We have everything. She says Richard was taking orders from someone else, someone higher up. Roxy threw a newspaper on the table. She's going public tomorrow morning. Press conference at 10. The headline screamed, Harrington's ex-wife claims deeper conspiracy. Emma grabbed the paper, scanned the article. She says Richard was a pawn, that the real mastermind is still out there. Convenient timing, Frank muttered. Her ex-husband gets convicted, and suddenly she shows up with new evidence. What if she's telling the truth? Frank and Roxy exchanged glances. then we've got a much bigger problem than we thought. Sometimes the monster you defeat is just the beginning. Sometimes the real enemy is still hiding in the shadows. Emma thought her fight was over. She was wrong. The press conference was chaos. Reporters packed the hotel lobby. Cameras flashed. Microphones thrust forward like weapons. Emma watched from the back, hidden behind her sunglasses and a borrowed jacket. Frank stood beside her, arms crossed. Victoria Harrington emerged from the elevator, perfectly composed, designer suit, diamonds at her ears. She approached the podium like a queen addressing her subjects. "Thank you all for coming." Her voice was smooth, practiced. "I know there are many questions about my return to Granite Falls. I'm here to provide answers. Mrs. Harrington, why did you leave 20 years ago?" "I left because I discovered what my husband was doing. The contamination, the cover-ups. I was afraid for my life and the life of my son." She paused for effect. "I've lived with that guilt for 2 decades. Now I'm ready to make amends." "What evidence do you have?" Victoria held up a flash drive. "On this drive are recordings, documents, and financial records proving that Richard Harrington was not acting alone. He was part of a network, a consortium of businessmen and politicians who have been exploiting communities like Granite Falls for decades." The room exploded with questions. "Who else is involved? Can you name names? Why didn't you come forward sooner?" Victoria raised her hand. Silence fell. "I will share everything with the proper authorities, but first I want to meet with the person who brought my ex-husband down." Her eyes scanned the crowd. "I want to meet Emma Carter." Emma froze. Frank grabbed her arm. "Don't. She knows I'm here. Doesn't matter, this smells like a trap." "Everything about this family is a trap." Emma pulled away. "But if she really has evidence about others involved, I need to know." "Emma, I'll be careful." She pushed through the crowd before Frank could stop her. "Mrs. Harrington?" Emma's voice cut through the noise. "I'm Emma Carter." The room went silent. Victoria turned. Her eyes traveled over Emma's crutches, her determined face, her steady gaze. Something flickered in her expression. "Surprise respect, Miss Carter." Victoria descended from the podium, extended her hand. "I've heard so much about you." "I've heard nothing about you." Emma didn't take the hand. "Until yesterday, I didn't know you existed. Richard preferred it that way. He erased me from Tyler's life completely." Victoria lowered her hand. "I'm not here as your enemy, Emma. I'm here to help." "Help with what?" "Finishing what you started." Victoria's voice dropped. "My ex-husband was a monster, but he was a small monster working for bigger ones. If you want justice, real justice, you need to follow the money to its source. And you can show me, I can show you everything." Victoria glanced at the reporters. "But not here, somewhere private, tonight." Emma hesitated. Every instinct screamed that this was a mistake, that Victoria Harrington couldn't be trusted, that walking into a private meeting with this woman was suicide. But what if she was telling the truth? What if his people who's killed her father were still out there tonight? Emma said. 8 o'clock. My location. My terms. Victoria smiled. "I look forward to it." Good. Emma chose Frank's warehouse. 8 o'clock sharp. Victoria Harrington arrived alone. No bodyguards, no lawyers, just a woman in an expensive coat carrying a leather briefcase. Frank frisked her at the door. "Was this really necessary?" "It's essential." He nodded to Emma. "She's clean." Victoria entered, looked around at the assembled group. Frank, Roxy, Big Mike, Chains, Patricia Holloway still healing, but determined to be present. Quite the welcoming committee. "You wanted to talk." Emma sat at the head of the table. "Talk." Victoria set her briefcase down, opened it, pulled out stacks of documents. 20 years ago, I stumbled onto something I wasn't supposed to see. Financial records showing that Harrington Industries was just one piece of a much larger operation. Shell companies, offshore accounts, money flowing from dozens of businesses across 6 states. Money from what? Environmental violations, illegal dumping, bribery, murder. Victoria spread the documents across the table. "There's a consortium, Emma. 12 men who have been destroying communities for profit for over 30 years. Richard was one of them, but he was far from the worst. Emma studied the documents. Names she didn't recognize. Companies she'd never heard of. Numbers with too many zeros. Why come forward now? Because Richard is finished. He's going to die in prison. And before he does, I want to make sure the others join him. Victoria's voice hardened. They took my son from me, turned him into a monster, made him believe that cruelty was strength and mercy was weakness. She looked at Emma. Tyler could have been different. He was a sweet boy once, before Richard got his hands on him. You left him. I had no choice. Richard threatened to kill me if I tried to take Tyler. Said he'd make it look like an accident. Victoria's eyes glistened. I've spent 20 years hating myself for that decision. 20 years watching from afar as my son became everything I feared. Emma didn't know what to feel. Sympathy, anger, suspicion, and all of the above. Even if everything you're saying is true, why should I trust you? You shouldn't. Victoria pushed a document across the table. But you should trust this. Emma picked it up, a bank statement, Harrington Industries. Her eyes found a name halfway down the page. Her heart stopped. No. I'm sorry, Emma. This is a lie. It's not. The name on the statement, James Carter, monthly payments, $10,000 for 3 years. Her father had been on Harrington's payroll. The truth doesn't care about your feelings. Sometimes the people we love fail us in ways we can't forgive. But Emma is about to learn that the full truth is more complicated than any document can show. Emma threw the paper across the room. This is fake. You're trying to manipulate me. I'm trying to prepare you. Victoria remained calm. Your father took money from Richard. That's a fact. But I don't think he was corrupt. Then what was he? Desperate. Victoria pulled out another document. James Carter's medical records. 3 years before he died, he was diagnosed with stage 2 cancer. Treatment cost $200,000. Insurance coverage minimal. Emma's world tilted. Cancer. Her father had cancer. She never knew. He went to Richard for help, Victoria continued. Asked for a loan to cover the treatments. Richard agreed, but there were conditions. James had to look the other way when inspectors came. Had to sign off on safety reports he knew were false. He wouldn't do that. He did it to survive, to be there for you and your mother. Victoria's voice softened. The payments stopped 6 months before he died. That's when he started gathering evidence. He'd beaten the cancer, and he wanted to make things right. Emma couldn't breathe. Her father, her hero, the man she'd idolized for 3 years. He'd taken bribes. He'd lied. He'd protected the people who were poisoning children, and then he tried to fix it, and they'd killed him for it. Why are you telling me this? Because the consortium will use it against you if they can. They'll paint your father as a corrupt official. They'll say you're trying to cover up his crimes, Mom. Victoria met her eyes. I'm giving you the truth before your enemies can weaponize it. Frank stepped forward. How do we know you're not the enemy? You don't. Victoria stood. But ask yourself this, if I wanted to hurt Emma, why would I warn her? Why would I give her ammunition to use against me? Because you want something. Of course I want something. I want the consortium destroyed. I want the men who corrupted my husband and destroyed my son to pay for what they've done. She looked at Emma. We want the same things, Miss Carter. The only question is whether you're brave enough to work with me to get them. Emma sat in silence. Her father's secret burned in her chest. Everything she'd believed, everything she'd fought for. It was all built on a lie. No, not a lie, a complication. Her father had made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but he'd spent his last months trying to make them right. That had to count for something. Who leads the consortium? Victoria smiled. His name is Harrison Cole. He owns half the mining operations in the western United States. Richard reported to him. Everyone does. Where is he? In Denver. But he's protected. Politicians, judges, police chiefs. Getting to him will require more than evidence. She paused. It will require bait. What kind of bait? Me. Victoria straightened her coat. Cole doesn't know I have these documents. He thinks I've been living quietly in Paris, spending my settlement and keeping my mouth shut. If I reach out to him, offer to help contain the damage from Richard's trial, he'll trust me. And then, and then I'll arrange a meeting, somewhere we can record him, get him to admit what he's done. She looked at Emma. But I'll need your help. Cole knows about you, respects what you did. If I tell him you want to make a deal, he'll come running. You want me to be bait too. I want you to be the trap. Victoria's eyes gleamed. Harrison Cole destroyed your father. He's the reason Tyler tried to kill you. He's the reason children in Granite Falls are still getting sick. She leaned forward. Don't you want to look him in the eye when he falls? Emma thought about it. Her father's face, Sarah Mason's smile, the little girl in Patricia's arms who would never walk or talk, all because of men who thought they were above the law. Yes, she said, I do. 2 weeks to prepare. Victoria reached out to Harrison Cole, played the concerned ex-wife, said she was worried about loose ends from Richard's trial, said there was a girl who might be willing to negotiate. Cole was interested. A meeting was arranged. A resort outside Denver, private, secure. The kind of place where powerful men made deals that never appeared on any record. Emma prepared with Frank and Roxy, learned how to wear a wire, practiced staying calm under pressure, memorized the questions she needed to ask. The night before the meeting, she visited her father's grave. Hey, Dad. The headstone didn't answer, but Emma talked anyway. I know about the money. I know what you did. She paused. I was angry at first. Felt like everything I believed was a lie. But then I realized something. She touched the cold stone. You were human. You made mistakes. You got scared and made bad choices. But when it mattered most, you chose to do the right thing, even though it cost you everything. Tears streamed down her face. I'm about to do something dangerous. I'm about to meet the man who ordered your death, and I'm scared, Dad. More scared than I've ever been. She took a breath. But I'm going anyway, because that's what you taught me. That courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right, even when you're terrified. She stood on her crutches, looked up at the stars. I love you, Dad, and I forgive you. The wind whispered through the cemetery, almost like an answer. Tomorrow, Emma faces the most dangerous man she's ever met, alone, unarmed, with nothing but her courage and a hidden microphone. This is it. The final battle. Everything has led to this moment. The resort was exactly what Emma expected. Expensive, geez. Exclusive, the kind of place where people paid for privacy and got it. She arrived in Victoria's car, wore a simple dress that hid the wire taped to her chest, left her crutches behind, and used a wheelchair instead. Less threatening that way. Harrison Cole met them in a private dining room. He was older than she'd imagined. 70s maybe, silver hair, grandfatherly smile, the kind of face you'd trust with your savings or your secrets. Emma knew better. Miss Carter, Cole extended his hand, I've heard remarkable things about you. I've heard things about you too. She didn't take the hand. Not all of them good. Cole laughed. Direct. I like that. He gestured to the table. Please, sit. Let's talk business. They sat, Victoria on one side, Emma on the other, Cole at the head like a king holding court. So, Cole folded his hands. Victoria tells me you're interested in making a deal. I'm interested in ending this. The trials, the media attention, the constant looking over my shoulder. Understandable. You've been through a great deal. Cole's eyes were warm, sympathetic, completely fake. What did you have in mind? Protection. A guarantee that no one else comes after me or my family. In exchange, I stopped digging, stopped talking to reporters. Let the Harrington case fade from public memory. And the evidence, the documents your father collected, I'll give you everything, every copy, every backup. Cole studied her. That's a generous offer, perhaps too generous. I'm tired. Emma let her voice crack. I just want my life back. I understand. Cole stood, walked to the window. You know your father came to me once, years ago, asked for help with his medical bills. Emma's heart pounded. I know. He was a good man, principled, but principles don't pay for chemotherapy. Cole turned back. I helped him, asked only for small favors in return, nothing significant, until he tried to expose you, until he betrayed my trust. Cole's voice hardened. I don't tolerate betrayal, Miss Carter. Your father learned that lesson. So did Richard Harrington. What do you mean? Richard was useful for many years, built a profitable operation, kept the authorities at bay. But he got sloppy, let a teenage girl take him down. Cole shook his head. That kind of failure cannot be allowed to stand. So you're the one who ordered the cover-up destroyed, the emergency shutdown at the quarry. I'm the one who cleans up messes. Cole sat back down, leaned forward. And you, Miss Carter, have been quite a mess. Emma felt the wire against her skin, recording everything. She just needed a little more. What happens to people who make messes for you, Mr. Cole? They're dealt with, efficiently, permanently. He smiled. Your father, Sarah Mason, Patricia Holloway would have joined them if you hadn't interfered. As you ordered their deaths, I authorized necessary actions to protect my investments. Cole's smile widened. The same way I'm authorizing actions regarding you. The door opened. Two men walked in, large, armed, professional. Emma's blood ran cold. Did you really think I didn't know about the wire? Cole reached across the table and ripped the device from her dress, crushed it under his heel. Victoria warned me an hour ago. She's been working with V all along. Emma looked at Victoria. The woman wouldn't meet her eyes. I'm sorry, Emma. He threatened my son. Said he'd make sure Tyler never survived his first year in prison. You set me up. I had no choice, Cole stood. Don't be too hard on her. Everyone has a price. Victoria's price is her son's life. Yours, I imagine, would be your mother's. He nodded to his men. Take her somewhere quiet. Make it look like an accident. Another tragedy for the Carter family. The men moved forward. Emma closed her eyes. This was it. After everything she'd survived, after everything she'd fought for, it ended here in a fancy resort killed by men whose names she'd never know. Dad, she whispered, I'm sorry. Crash! The door exploded inward. Frank burst through, gun raised. Roxy right behind him. Big Mike. Chains. A dozen Hell's Angels pouring into the room. Cole's men reached for their weapons. Too slow. Frank's first shot took out the guard on the left. Roxy dropped the second before he could clear his holster. Cole dove behind the table. Victoria screamed. Emma threw herself sideways, hitting the floor hard. She crawled toward the wall, away from the chaos. Cole, Frank's voice thundered. It's over. You don't know who you're dealing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. Frank advanced. A coward who kills teenagers and calls it business. Cole emerged from behind the table, hands raised. But his eyes were calculating, planning. You can't touch me. I have protection. Senators, judges, police chiefs, one phone call, and what? A new voice. Detective Martinez stepped through the doorway, badge gleaming. Your friends in high places are a little busy right now, Mr. Cole. Federal agents are arresting them as we speak. Cole's face went white. That's impossible. The wire Emma wore, it wasn't the only one. Martinez smiled. Victoria's been wearing one too. Everything you said tonight went straight to FBI headquarters. Victoria stared at her. What? You really thought we trusted you? Roxy holstered her weapon. We knew you'd flip the moment Cole threatened Tyler, so we planned for it. The wire was a decoy, Emma said, pulling herself up against the wall. The real recording equipment was in Victoria's purse, the one she couldn't leave behind because it had her passport and phone. Victoria looked at her briefcase. Her face crumbled. You used me. You used yourself. Emma met her eyes without sympathy. You chose your son over doing the right thing. I understand why, but you still made a choice. Martinez stepped forward. Harrison Cole, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, environmental terrorism, racketeering, and about 30 other charges I'll read to you on the way to the station. Cole said nothing as the handcuffs clicked around his wrists, but his eyes found Emma, burned into her. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Emma stood on shaking legs. You're going to prison. Your friends are going to prison. And when you're gone, people like me are going to rebuild what you destroyed. She stepped closer. That's what happens when you underestimate a girl in a wheelchair. Cole was led away. Victoria followed in handcuffs, tears streaming down her face. Frank crossed to Emma. You okay? No, she leaned against him. But I will be. The aftermath took months. Harrison Cole's trial made national headlines. His consortium was dismantled piece by piece. Politicians resigned. Executives were arrested. The full scope of their crimes filled newspapers for weeks. Tyler Harrington was moved to a safer prison after his mother's testimony. He wrote Emma a letter. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I'm trying to change. The counselors here say it's possible, that I don't have to be what my father made me. I don't know if they're right. But for the first time in my life, I want to find out. I'm sorry for everything. Tyler, Emma didn't write back. But she didn't throw the letter away either. Richard Harrington died in prison 3 months after his conviction. Heart attack, the official report said. Emma suspected the consortium had reached him. Punishment for failure. She didn't mourn. Patricia Holloway started a foundation for families affected by environmental contamination. Emma sat on the board. Together they raised millions for medical treatment, legal aid, and community restoration. Granite Falls began to heal. The water was clean. The quarry was converted into a nature preserve. New businesses opened. New families moved in. The town that Richard Harrington had poisoned learned to breathe again. Some wounds never fully heal, but scars can become reminders of strength instead of pain. Emma's journey isn't ending. It's transforming into something bigger than she ever imagined. 1 year after the trial, Emma stood before a crowd at Granite Falls High School. No wheelchair, no crutches, walking on her own 2 legs. The doctors had called it a miracle. Emma called it stubbornness. 18 months of physical therapy, countless hours of pain and frustration. But she'd done it. She'd learned to walk again. Thank you for coming, she said into the microphone. I know a lot of you remember me as the girl in the wheelchair, the girl who got bullied, the girl who almost died on that cliff. She paused, let the silence settle. But that's not who I am. Not anymore. I'm Emma Carter, survivor, fighter, and today the founder of Wings of Steel. Applause rippled through the gymnasium. Wings of Steel is a program for students who feel invisible, who feel powerless, who feel like no one cares about them. Emma's voice strengthened. I know what that feels like. I lived it every day in these halls. And I promised myself that if I survived, I would make sure no one else had to feel that way. She looked out at the crowd. Students, teachers, parents, Frank and Roxy in the back, leather jackets and proud smiles. Her mother in the front row crying. The people who hurt me thought they were strong. They thought power meant making others feel small. But they were wrong. Emma stepped forward. Real strength isn't about tearing people down. It's about lifting them up. It's about standing beside someone when the whole world tells them they're worthless. It's about saying, I see you, I hear you, you matter. She smiled. My father taught me that. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, but in the end, he chose to fight for what was right. He died trying to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Her voice caught. I'm standing here today because of him, because he showed me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right even when you're terrified. The room was silent. If you're sitting out there right now feeling alone, feeling scared, feeling like there's no way out, I want you to know something. Emma gripped the podium. There is a way out. There are people who care. There is hope. She took a breath. My name is Emma Carter. I was thrown off a cliff by bullies who wanted me dead. And I'm still here, still fighting, still standing. She raised her chin. If I can do it, so can you. The gymnasium erupted. Standing ovation, students cheering, teachers wiping their eyes, Frank pumping at his fist in the air, Roxy whistling through her fingers. Emma let the sound wash over her. This moment, this feeling, this victory. Afterward, a freshman girl approached her, shy, quiet, bruises hidden under long sleeves. Miss Carter. Emma, just Emma. Emma, the girl swallowed. I wanted to thank you for what you said. Are you okay? The girl's lip trembled. Not really, but I want to be. She looked up. Can you help me? Emma put her arm around the girl's shoulders. That's exactly what I'm here for. They walked out of the gymnasium together, into the sunlight, into the future. Behind them, the banner for Wings of Steel fluttered in the breeze. That evening, Emma drove to the cemetery. Alone this time, the way she preferred it. She walked to her father's grave, knelt in the grass, placed a single white rose on the headstone. "Hey, Dad." The wind rustled through the trees. "We did it. Cole's in prison. The consortium's destroyed. Granite Falls is healing." She smiled. "And I walked across the stage today. No wheelchair, no crutches, just me." She touched the cold stone. "I know you made mistakes. I know you weren't perfect. But you were my father, and I love you always." She stood, looked up at the sky. "I forgive you, Dad, and I hope wherever you are, you're proud of me." The sun broke through the clouds, warm on her face like an embrace. "Thank you," she whispered, "for teaching me how to fly." She walked back to her car, climbed in, started the engine. On the seat beside her, a photograph. Her father, Sarah Mason, Patricia Holloway, all smiling, all together. She drove away. In the rearview mirror, the cemetery grew smaller, the headstones like silent sentinels, guardians of memory. Emma didn't look back. The road ahead was long, the work was far from over. But for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. She was ready. Frank's motorcycle shop became the unofficial headquarters of Wings of Steel. Roxy taught self-defense classes every Saturday. Big Mike ran a mentorship program for at-risk youth. Chain surprisingly turned out to be an excellent math tutor. The Hells Angels of Granite Falls became legends, not for their leather and their bikes, but for their hearts. Emma's mother remarried 2 years later, a doctor she'd met at the hospital, a good man who loved her daughter like his own. Emma gave a speech at the wedding, made everyone cry. Patricia's daughter started speaking her first words at age 8. Mama, Papa, Emma. Patricia framed the video, hung it in her office. Tyler Harrington was released after 12 years for good behavior. He moved to a different state, changed his name, dedicated his life to anti-bullying advocacy. He and Emma never spoke again. But once a year, a donation appeared in the Wings of Steel account. Anonymous. Always the same amount. Emma never mentioned it. Harrison Cole died in prison at 83. His empire erased. His legacy forgotten. Nobody attended his funeral. 20 years later, Emma Carter stood at the edge of Dead Man's Ridge, the cliff where Tyler Harrington had tried to kill her, the cliff where 2 Hells Angels had saved her life, the cliff where her story truly began. Below the river flowed clean and clear. Children swam in the summer. Families picnicked on the banks. The town had reclaimed what was stolen. Emma smiled. Behind her, a car door opened. Footsteps approached. "Mom." A young voice, 16 years old. Brown hair, her father's eyes. "Over here, James." Her son joined her at the edge, looked down at the water. "This is where it happened. This is where it happened. Were you scared? Terrified?" Emma put her arm around him. "But I learned something that day. Something that changed everything." "What?" She looked at her son, this boy who carried her father's name and her mother's strength. "I learned that falling isn't the end. It's just the beginning." She smiled. "The only thing that matters is what you do when you hit the ground." James nodded slowly. "Get back up." "Get back up," Omba pulled him close. "No matter how hard they push, no matter how far you fall, you get back up every single time." They stood together at the edge of the cliff, mother and son, looking at the river below. The sun set behind them, golden light on the water. "Come on," Emma said. "Grandma's making dinner, and you know how she gets when we're late." They walked back to the car, laughing together. No. They thought pushing her off a cliff would be the end. They were wrong. Emma Carter didn't fall that day. She flew, and she never stopped flying.